God damn it, somehow I got talked into watching this freaking movie. Let's talk about these damn sisters. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. I suppose this was bound to happen sooner or later. Eventually, I'd have to review a shitty movie, so let's take a look at the film, Sisters. Now, before I begin, I have to preface this review by saying I absolutely love Tina Fey and I love Amy Poehler. They're both funny as hell. And that's exactly what makes it so hard to shit on this movie. But you know what? As a reviewer, you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, listen, we all get it. The 80s happened, there was awesome music, and that's cool. We can never get enough of the 80s music. But you know what we sure as hell got our fill with? Movies about people reminiscing about the 80s and the good old times. It's gone. It's dead. There's nothing new here, there's nothing innovative, there's nothing fresh. It's just a rehash of several movies that have already been made, and movies with better plot lines. Okay, so let's talk about the cartoon, the characters in this movie. So Amy Poehler plays sister number 1, and her character was so boring that I completely forgot what her name was. Anyways, she's somebody who regrets not being cool or cooler enough in the past, and probably not getting laid enough. So she wants to relive that, or some convoluted storyline, who cares, she was boring. Alright, so if Yosemite Sam, the Tasmanian Devil, and Speedy Gonzales all got together one night and had a shitload of tequila, you would have sister number 2, played by Tina Fey. And that's it. That's about as deep as these characters go. Some other assorted characters include Maya Rudolph, who plays the bitch. That's it. That's all she does. Maya Rudolph just plays the bitch. Then we have John Leguizamo, and I really love John Leguizamo. His stand-up is always amazing. But in this film, he's highly underutilized. He's barely even that funny. Actually, he's only in the movie to set up a plot point or plot device later on, which is probably the most shitty and contrived thing I've ever seen in a movie. We'll talk about that in a minute. Oh, one of the things I forgot to talk about Tina Fey's character is that she has a daughter in the film, and their relationship is dysfunctional to say the least. Apparently she's never been there for her daughter, whatever, it's all been told before. And the reason that I forgot to mention it is because they bring it up at the beginning of the film, and then completely forget about it for, I don't know, about 90 minutes. Then finally, it brings us down to Amy Poehler's love interest in the movie, played by giant dorky guy number 1, or number 2, or number 3, or anybody. This guy was so forgettable he could have been played by anyone. So the main plot in the story is that the parents contact the sisters, let them know that they're going to be retiring soon, and they don't need that big giant house they have anymore. The two sisters freak out despite not having been at the house for so many years, evidently since the 80s, because they're called back to clean their rooms. That's right, you didn't mishear me. They're called back to clean their rooms after 20 years. And after rummaging through every single artifact of 80s icon pop culture, the ladies decide, hey, why don't we have one last bash to celebrate what was and our glory days in the 80s. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the entire plot of this film. And can I just say, what freaking universe do they live in? They look everybody up on Facebook and conveniently, presumably to drive the plot forward, everybody's available on this one night to get together and have this party. How the does that even happen? So eventually Tina Fey gets freaked out that this is actually going to happen, that this house is actually going to be sold. And when she sees the people that are going to be moving in, which are really neo-yuppies and whatnot, she decides, hey, you know what? If we throw a party and wreck the house, nobody's going to want to buy it. Forget that you're destroying the equity in the house that your parents built and that you're essentially fucking your parents over, but hey, whatever, that's the plot of the story. Then, 2/3 through the movie, Tina Fey's character changes and all of a sudden she becomes responsible. Not necessarily because she wants to be, but because she realizes that her parents conveniently told her that the proceeds from the house that they're selling is going to go to buy her and her daughter a house. Something which they could have told her at the beginning of the movie, but, you know, again, it wouldn't have driven the plot along, and that's how shitty this script is. So the last act of this movie is Tina Fey having a reawakening about the value of the house, and she wants to save it now from being destroyed by all these friends in the house. I don't know. Now, remember when I told you that John Leguizamo was in this movie just to drive the plot forward? Well, this is what I'm talking about. At the very beginning of the film, he makes some reference to how he was living in a trailer and it got swallowed up by a sinkhole. That immediately told me, okay, that is going to come back in the script again and is going to play a major plot device in the film. And sure enough, some idiot at the party knocks something that activates the pool to overflow, thereby the water going under the house, creating this massive sinkhole, and the pool sinks. If that wasn't convenient enough for you, somehow, the parents and Tina Fey's daughter arrive at the exact moment that this pool sinks. Tina Fey's daughter falls into the pool, Tina Fey goes after her, pulls her out of the pool, and all of a sudden, they have this miraculous relationship again. I don't know, it looked just as stupid to me. Finally, this movie has some serious continuity issues. Why, Alan, whatever do you mean by continuity issues? Allow me to elaborate. Eventually, Amy Poehler's character and dumb big love interest number 1 head up to the attic. Now I shit you not, this all happens in a span of 7 minutes. They go up to the attic, they have a romantic conversation, somehow Amy Poehler falls through the attic. Big dumb love interest number 1 is conveniently a carpenter, so he goes and gets his carpenting stuff. And he's really awesome because he patches that massive hole in the roof in under a minute. Then these two numbskulls decide, hey, now is the most opportune time ever to have sex. Then, because the movie assumes that you're bored out of your mind and you've probably passed out, to get your attention, what happens? Somehow, Amy Poehler lights big dumb carpenter number 1's testicles on fire. Then, as if the movie said to itself, hey, these idiots are not paying attention enough, let's wake them up for real. The movie pulls a Seinfeld, and big dumb carpenter guy gets a trophy rammed up his anus. Okay, big dumb carpenter guy, I'm not a doctor, but I do know this. If I just had a trophy rammed up my ass, I wouldn't go swimming in chlorine at the end of the film. I don't care how romantic it is, or even if the script calls for it. I'm just saying. You know what? I'm gonna try to be a little bit fair to this movie. If this was an SNL skit, it would actually be pretty funny. But transforming this into a 2-hour movie, dear God, it was freaking horrible. Alright guys, that's my official review on the movie Sisters. It's a ridiculous movie with an idiotic plotline and nothing but cartoon characters. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews.